There's a show called Beef.
Oh, there is. That's one of those shows that I go, I'm gonna watch that, and then I don't. Like, there's a whole
Yeah.
series of shows that I have sort of in the lexicon of my brain where I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that. Or like, did you watch Mrs. Davis?
No.
It's on one of the streaming services. It's very strange. I've almost through it and I couldn't tell you exactly what it's about. There's like a nun and she's fighting an algorithm and Jesus is involved and it's very much like stuff I would like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But also, I have like two more episodes and I just don't I got to find the will to go back and watch this weird thing, you know?
It's called
Like
Miss
some
Davis.
yeah, I think it's either Miss Davis or Mrs. Davis. Yeah. It's on Prime? No, it's on Peacock. It's on Peacock,
Okay.
and it's aggressively strange. And maybe it's Amazon, but it's aggressively strange and like about big ideas and something I legitimately and like funny and weird at the
Mhm.
same time and very like self-aware, but also like it's I kind of wish I don't love the idea of it being a TV show because like going back to it over and over again is proving to be exhausting instead of like
Mm.
one sit down like
Yeah.
there it is. This is all your weird ideas. Here's 90 minutes. Now get out of here, kid. Um, Instead of it being like, here's 5 hours of what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And I guess it sort of works for Twin Peaks. That's sort of what Twin Peaks is too. And I love Twin Peaks,
Mhm.
but also like Twin Peaks, it has a very I'm using words as flavors, millennial blue feeling to it.
Mm.
Like that's sort of like, and it's sort of like, it's sort of self aware and ironic. And you didn't expect that. And isn't this weird? And like, okay,
Yeah.
and like, here's just a bunch of ideas and like whatever sticks, sticks. And like, that's cool. And I'm for it. But also, eh, like,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good, but it feels like it's for a younger person. But I'm still gonna finish it. And like as I'm talking about it right now, I'm like, I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna
Well,
watch
I do have I do have a problem with like I do have to finish a show or a book like even if I'm not liking it.
Gotta get
Um
past that.
I
One second.
yeah.
One sorry, Andrew.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Brandon.
Start that timer.
Booyah.
It's not our catchphrase. Nope. Do a different one next week. Next week, try something different. There you go. Yeah, I don't
I
know
like
if
how,
it's.
by the way, I like how we've just gotten lazier and lazier about the timer.
Oh, it used to be
Like,
on the screen. Now it's just like it's. Oh, you'll see it. It's fine.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's. I don't think it's laziness. I actually think it's a trust thing.
It is. Yeah.
I think it's saying I trust you to keep time, and I'm a big believer in time. Uh, I want to say I'm gonna make an artistic critique of someone who maybe one day will be on the show. Who knows? But I was very annoyed with them because I did a comedy show with this person,
And
and
this
I
is
don't.
recent.
Huh?
This is
It,
recent.
maybe it wasn't. I'll keep it
Okay.
vague.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was a show that was, and when you do stand up, and when you do most art stuff, there are limitations, and you have to sort of work within those limitations. In stand up, one of those limitations is time. You're working within a time. Now, in if there's a whole lot of people, that time is very strict, right? You got to get off the stage. I don't care how good you're doing. Get off that stage. Now, if you're working with less people, the time is less strict. But this person went way over time with less people. Now, he was the closer, and he's very funny, and he's very great. He's great. He's great. But um, I he wasn't doing great enough that I could be like, well, man's out there slaying. And then he went way over time. And then we couldn't go to the restaurant I wanted to go to afterwards because it had closed 10 minutes prior. Now, this seems like a petty complaint, but I actually think it shows a lack of respect for the art form and the other artists that are working in it. And I think that if you are an artist working in your art form, it is important. And I'm not just talking about time, I'm talking about working within the limitations you are given, unless you are really hot tonight. If you have to go over budget, over time, over space of what you are given because you are so brilliant. You have to make sure you are that brilliant that day. And I think it's easy to convince yourself, and maybe you were that brilliant last week, but you might not be that brilliant this week. So you have to ask yourself, are you this brilliant this week to be able to go this far over? Because I was upset enough that I like called people. I was like, because
Mm,
I had eaten. I at that point I had eaten nothing but gas station food for like 3 days because I was on the road so much, and
mhm,
I was looking forward to having some time off. And that person took this away from me. And
mhm,
I called my people up, and I was like, and they went, "Oh yeah, he does that. It's super annoying." And you don't want to be known as, because now I'm like, well, don't hire that guy. And I don't
yeah.
think you want to be known as the guy who takes away someone's dinner. Um, and in some ways, is this Brandon airing a petty complaint? Absolutely. In other ways, did I go, "Oh, have I ever done this?" Absolutely. And I think it's important to have the moment of like, maybe you're not going to be the you're not going to be the most brilliant person in the world tonight, but if you do your job, it's another. I know we keep coming back to it, but I feel like it's another way of saying like, did you do the job?
Mhm,
Because part of the job sometimes is just showing up. And that's absolutely true. And another part of the job is walking away when it is done. And
mhm,
I think it's important to have the ability to learn when it's time to walk away when it's done. Like count your money and go home isn't such an important thing. And I think that's easy to do if things are going real bad.
mhm,
But I think it's harder to do if things are going just all right. Because you want a magical moment of art. And that's not always going to happen. Sometimes
mhm,
everyone has a pretty good time. We all go home, and that's great. And that's what the job is,
mhm,
That's sort of like, you want to be a genius artist all of the time, but sometimes you just get to be a regular artist. And that's more than a lot of people ever get. And you just say thank you and you move on. Have you ever
mhm.
dealt with that with like a dude playing with like people playing music, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of an interesting uh, scenario, I think, because I think you're right. It's like there are different levels to it because I think, like you said, if somebody is really killing it and the audience is into it, then there might be a little bit of like forgiveness there, or not even forgiveness, but like enthusiasm for them to keep going,
Yes.
or even if you're in that situation, then you might be compelled to just keep going, as well. Um, but it's interesting because there's so many different levels like to like the people in the audience maybe they had to get somewhere or
Or just
they had to
exhausted, man.
maybe they had a babysitter or something
And like I don't, and I sometimes think like one of the things you sometimes have to, but you're always trying not to, is you don't want to like keep an hostage a audience hostage.
Mhm.
And like I think it's so easy to, well, I have your attention, I can keep your attention. Yeah, but like you want them to be there to because they want to be there. You don't want them to be there and then going, "Oh my god, is this still going?" Like
Yeah.
that goodwill will go down so quick if you're stuck. And I
Mhm.
think it's so important to try to not do that. And I mean, it's such an easy thing. But honestly, of all the ideas we've come through on this
Mhm.
podcast and our talks, leave them wanting more has never shown up. And I think this is the podcast where
Mhm.
we say more often than not, leave them.
Mhm.
It's better to leave anything, and especially performance. It's better to leave earlier than later and have them go, "I wish that guy was up there more,"
Mhm.
instead of the feeling of "I wish that guy was up there more." Of whatever you do is so much more positive than "Will he just get down, please?"
Yeah. Well, and I think probably the key thing that you said is that now that this person is known for going over time,
Hmm.
and um yeah, that's especially like in a situation that you're talking about where a lot of people are involved, like um that's probably not something that you want to be known for. And so a lot of it, like if you look at sort of like this bigger picture, a lot of it's about reputation, the kind of reputation that you have. um and uh that having something negative attached to your name or your performance like that is probably not necessarily a
Yeah,
good thing, I think.
and also like you know, it was something I heard. I was at a convention for it's sort of different, but it still works. If you're a jerk, you always have to be brilliant. If you're nice, you only have to be brilliant some of the time.
Mhm.
And like that's a real good example because great at his job. Not saying he's bad, but
Mhm.
now I have to go, well, he's good, but he's gonna do that thing instead of I mean he's all right, but like he's all right, but like he always does exactly what I need him to do.
Yeah.
And you know, if you choose to be and there are times when it's your turn to be the diva. I'm not saying there aren't,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think you need to and there are times when you go, I am the lead, all eyes on me.
Mhm.
Ah. But I think you really need to figure out when that is, and I
Mhm.
think that's a special skill, and I think, honestly, it might be better to miss a couple of those
Mhm.
than be on top than be behind a bunch of, "Well, that guy sucks." Not
Mhm.
sucks, but that guy was a real jerk, and I'm mad about the fact that they went over, the fact that they, um you know, kind of cut my set out under and it's underneath its legs, and it's easy to try to be that person. It's
Mhm.
fun to be that combative person, but like, why?
Mhm.
You know, like what do you're making your job harder, and you're making everyone else's job around you harder. If it
Mhm.
makes your art that much better, it better be the best, you
Yeah.
know? And like, don't why put yourself in a position where like, you have to always be that on. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? If you're that on one day and that's it, and it's better to go, yeah, no, he's having a moment. He's usually very cool. This is his thing right now. I think it's better to be in that position than to
Yeah.
be like, I don't know, man. Sometimes he's brilliant, but this is a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
she.
and there's so many factors like time really time is really annoying, you know.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
Wild.
but there's so many factors like that are involved that surround time, and unfortunately we have to, I think that like this was actually years ago, but we had an event over at the place that I work, and uh, the the thing is, I mean, there were probably like 4 or 5 acts, involved, and at that time, well, still now actually, like there's a hard cutoff date, cutoff time for like when we have to like literally be out of the building,
Yeah.
and it's like no, non-negotiable,
Yep.
um, and so the person who was supposed to start the show was running late, and the person who had kind of put together the show really had it like locked in their mind that it had to go in a certain order, and so like it was like 30 or 40 minutes, you know, late, that we had to wait. And then so, you know, we we had this, hard cutoff time, and so it put everybody's set kind of in. So it was just, everybody had to do a shorter set, or maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody was cut off. I don't know. It's like I can't remember exactly what happened, but the point is like it kind of messed up the whole schedule.
Mhm.
And nobody was happy about it,
Yeah.
because
The person running
so
late wasn't happy because they became the villain to everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone's having a bad time because of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will say in working in baseball, the way I work in baseball, I have learned to love living by a clock because
Mhm.
everything you do is you're always like you've internalized what time is, and it's a very important thing that
Mhm.
you get. You're doing your little skits
Yeah.
on the field, and you have to get the hell off the field before the next inning starts, or there will be major consequences.
Yeah.
And that time you are given is your time, and it doesn't go over, and you don't have more. If something goes terribly wrong, maybe someone will be kind to you. You know
Mhm.
but you plan for nothing to go wrong. You plan to get off that field no matter what,
Mhm.
so that if something goes wrong, they look at you and go, "Well, I understand why that happened." You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how you try to live. And I think learn it's there are times when it's beautiful to live not on a clock, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
great. We're
It
on the
is.
trail, we're just moving down. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
And then there are times when you go, yeah, this is the society we live in. Time is not money. Time is the only thing more important than money. That
Mhm.
time is the only thing that is time is the only thing that everyone experiences. Some people have more money, some people have less money, We all have time's moving the same rate for everybody, pretty much.
Mhm.
But that is, and it's not a perception thing. It marches forward.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I'm not talking about, oh well, an hour in the dentist feels like less of an hour than watching TV. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that it's still quantifiable and it still moves forward. Don't get lost in the weed smoke of it all. We're focusing today. I'm saying that in a tie-dye t-shirt. I'm going to change the subject for a second. I was talking, and I was in the booth for the mascot work,
Mhm.
and I looked up, and in all seriousness, I looked at someone and went, "I'm a very serious man." And then I went, "Dude, you're about to put on a mascot suit. Get the hell over yourself. Come on, buddy. Like, I'm not above having diva moments, where especially if you have a diva moment, you have to have a moment where you have to be like, oh, that was me. That was me being dumb. Get over yourself,
Yeah.
buddy. It's time for you to move on. Move on. It ain't that serious. Move on. Come on. Come on. You're putting on a fursuit in a couple minutes. You need to you need to not be so serious about this. It's not that important.
Look, people are complicated,
Yeah,
and
people are caught. Yeah, there are many
there are
sides.
there are many layers to everybody, I think. So
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. Every time I do that mascot work, everybody gets to go to the restaurant afterwards. I mean, that is the most like doing art and being a performer moment is just sitting outside of a restaurant
Mhm.
that was going to be my one treat for the past like 3 days. It happened to be like, guess it's gas station food again. I'm fine with this. And I eat pretty healthy. I eat healthy gas station food. I eat like the fruits and I eat the vegetables. But man, at one point you're just like, I hate this. I
Right.
hate that it's in my car. Like,
It's
I
like,
hate that I'm eating over paper again. How we doing on time, speaking of which?
yeah, 49 seconds.
49 cents. I nailed it. I feel it in my bones nowadays.
I can tell. I can
Yeah, it's
tell.
one of those like I mean, we show the clock less because I've internalized the clock.
Mhm. Exactly.
There's a certain arc that it gets, and then you gotta just you get done. I think
Exactly.
that's pretty much it.
You start feeling the momentum like as the minutes count down.
Oh yeah, you feel the shift in it
Yeah.
because really it's 15 minutes because that's the gimmick, but the thing is it's about one subject worth.
Yeah.
It's about a subject and a half worth. And when I feel myself going into that second subject, I'm like, well, it's time to tap
It's the
out,
good
bud.
meter, yeah.
Time to move on.
Yeah. Because there does seem to be kind of an arc with our conversations. Like it's a little bit random at the beginning. We finally settle on a topic, and then when we start to move into another topic, it's about like the
Yeah,
right time.
that's why we made that rule, dude.
Exactly.
Like that's we made that rule specifically so that we don't have 3 hours. Yeah, good
Exactly.
talk. Go have dinner.